So I was playing Elden Ring again, and doing a really good job at it.
So I missed.
Anyway, since I make Pokemon videos, I had a thought. What would be the best Pokemon to do at Elden Ring boss rush? What type would it be? What item would it hold? Its ability, its moves, all that stuff. Today, we are going to find out, probably. We'll be fighting these 14 bosses, as this is the path of least resistance to complete the game. I'm not doing any more than that, otherwise we're all going to get bored and fall asleep. Maybe you will anyway, I don't know. Anyway, there's a catch to this. We only get one Pokemon, and we can't change its moves, ability, or held item during the challenge. We'll need to have the best move coverage possible, and good typing to resist bosses' damage. Before we get onto the bosses, we need to look at the damage types from both Pokemon and Elden Ring, and see how these might blend together. Standard damage. With this being your average form of damage, it makes sense to consider this normal type. Slash damage. I thought about making all the other physical damage variants normal type, but this would make some defensive typings too strong. Plus, that'd be pretty lame. So for slashing, I chose to choose steel type. Also, moves that have keywords such as cut, slash, or claw in them could also count towards this damage type. I chose to make strike damage fighting type, since fighting types generally strike with parts of their body. Simple enough. Piercing damage. Decided to equate this to dark type. There's just something sinister about piercing a target that screams dark type to me. That's stupid. We could also count moves that ignore substitute, light screen, and reflect. The infiltrate ability could also count, and we could include moves like icicle spear. Now I know the dark type thing is a bit of a stretch, but I think it's the best we've got. Magic damage. For this, I chose fairy type, as it seems to be the most magical type in the game. However, this may change depending on the spell used. Fire damage. Fire is fire. Next. Lightning damage. Electric. Next. Holy damage. Holy damage is a tricky one. Out of all the Pokemon types, I can't seem to compare it to any of them. So, I decided that holy damage is unresisted by every Pokemon type, as Pokemon are simply not used to these kind of attacks. Furthermore, since holy is good against undead, it does super effective damage against ghost types. Plus, it nerfs ghost types a bit since they're immune to strike and standard damage. Like, that's just wacky. Now, onto the status effects. Poison is poison. Scarlet Rot, also poison, but we'll go with badly poisoned for this. Hemorrhage, like Holy, another damage type that Pokemon aren't used to. However, Ghost, Rock, and Steel will be immune to this. Thought you were nerfing Ghost. Shut up. Frostbite is Ice type. Sleep is... Sleep. Madness is Confusion. And Blight is the same as Hemorrhage and Holy. They just ain't used to it. Finally, we've got some special damage types. Gravity will be Psychic type. Spooky Skeletons will be Ghost type. Dragon is Dragon type. And Ancient Dragons is Dragon, but also Electric type. So, that's all the damage types out the way. Now we can get started with the bosses. Kicking off this list is Margit the Fell Omen. This stinky boy deals standard, strike, pierce, and holy damage. He has high holy resist, but we have a Pokemon, so we can't deal that damage anyway. He doesn't resist any other types of damage, but he is immune to madness and sleep. The main thing we want to look at here is his slashing absorption, as he takes 10% more damage from slashing. So, what do we want? The ghost type would be immune to his standard and strike, but would be weak to his piercing and holy damage. So, what we're going to do is add fairy type to resist the strike and pierce, and add steel to resist his standard damage. We do lose our resistance to strike, however, since he is weak to slashing damage, we'll be using a steel move. So, having steel type will give us same type attack bonus. Lovely. Godric the Grafted deals fire and standard damage. However, since he has this cool ground slam attack, we're going to give him some ground type damage. We can have a flying type to be immune to that, and a rock type to resist the fire and standard damages. He has absorption in all the elements, but has no absorption in any of the physical damages. He's also immune to madness. As for our damages, any kind of physical will do. That means normal, dark, fighting, or steel. Red Wolf of Radagon deals standard and magic damage. It has high magic resist and decent resistance in the other elements. Also, it's immune to madness. It has no absorptions to physical damage and takes 10% more from slashing. A steel type with a steel move would be good here, as it resists both its damage types and exploits its weakness. Not only that, but we get same type attack bonus from being steel type. Very nice. Renala, Queen of the Full Moon, deals standard, magic, and fire damage. Or rather, during phase 1, these goofy student slugs do all that damage. Anyway, Renala herself has crazy high magic resist and a good amount in the other elements. She's also immune to sleep and madness. On the physical side, she ain't all that. She has no strike absorption and takes 10% from standard, slash, and pierce. During phase 2, Renala herself only does magic damage. However, she has some Pokemon herself, and between them they do standard, strike, hemorrhage, and fire. A fire ghost Pokemon would be good here, followed up with a steel or slashing move. Draconic Tree Sentinel deals fire, standard, strike, and lightning. But since he uses ancient dragon spells, I'm also going to add dragon to that type list. Adding ghost makes it immune to strike and standard, and adding ground will make us immune to the lightning. We'll just have to deal with the other 2 damage types. His weakest resistances are piercing, standard, or strike, so we want a normal, fighting, or dark move. Next we have Godfrey, the first Elden Lord, in his shiny form. He only deals standard damage, which means Ghost is completely immune to this guy. Our moves don't matter, that's it. Next boss. But wait, there's more. He also has a ground slam attack that he likes to do when he's feeling up to it. So he gets ground type too. So all we need to do is add flying or the ability to levitate. And we're completely immune again. Morgott the Omen King, Stinky Boy 2, inflicts hemorrhage, slash, pierce, holy, and fire. Having a fire type would resist his fire and slash, and we can have fighting, dark, or fairy for the pierce. For moves, we want a steel move or a slashing move. Big Boy Fire Giant deals standard, strike, and fire. For defense, Ghost is immune to strike and standard, and we just want something that resists fire. So our own fire type, rock, dragon, or water. His biggest weakness is slashing, so a steel or a slashing move. Time for a double battle. Godskin Duo deals slash, pierce, and fire. We can have a fire type for the slash and fire, and fighting or dark for the pierce. Once again, for moves, it's slashing or steel. Malekith the Black Blade deals standard, slash, magic, pierce, and holy. However, since some of his moves are just him throwing a bunch of rocks at you, I'm going to add rock type to his damage list. For defense, steel and ground will resist everything except pierce, and quad resist the rock damage. Adding a type that resists pierce will actually weaken our steel resistance, so we're not bothering. He has high absorptions in everything, so our best bet is a poison move. Sir Gideon Ofnir the All-Knowing has a really good move pool. He does magic, holy, fire, standard, strike, hemorrhage, and scarlet rot. We're going to have poison to resist the strike, magic, and scarlet rot, and we'll use rock type to resist the standard, fire, and hemorrhage. We do lose our resistance to strike, but we have the rest covered. His biggest weakness is lightning. However, he has low resistance to all the status conditions, so we can use poison or ice, or use something that causes sleep or confusion. Godfrey's non-shiny form deals standard and strike. He also has the ground type moves. It's literally just the same as the first one. Goes flying, goes levitate. This applies to both his forms. Yeah, see it, whatever. Just 2 more to go. Radagon of the Golden Order deals standard, slash, strike, and holy damage. We can add steel for the standard and slash damage. We can have poison, flying, psychic, or bug for the strike damage. His biggest weakness is fire, so that's what we'll go with. Finally, we have the Elden Beast. It deals standard and lots of holy damage. If we use ghosts, we're just gonna get smashed to bits by all of it. So I've chosen the combination of steel and rock. This will quad resist the standard damage that is dealt to us. Its lowest absorptions are its physical ones, so we'll use steel for some same type attack bonus. And that's it. That's all the bosses. Now let's decide what the final Pokemon will be. Right, so who do we pick? Let's focus on defense and look at the most common damage types. There they are. You had a good look? Okay, cool. There are 2 defensive typings I mention a lot going through the bosses, and I kind of want to point out their problems. First is Ghost type. It's a strong option as it is immune to standard and strike. Problem with this is the large amounts of holy damage is going to send us back to a side of grace. Steel type resists many types here, but is weak to strike and fire, which there's a lot of. It's also weak to the ground moves. Not ruling this one out though, since we compare it with a lot of other types. Now, taking super effective damage from these bosses is just... no, we're not letting it happen. So, our Pokemon will be a type or type combination that has no weaknesses to bosses' damage. You'll see a pattern with the final Pokemon, but first, it's move pool time. Now, it was probably a good time to mention this. Instant KO moves, banned. Sorry, moving on. We need something that can do slashing damage for sure, as this is a common weakness. So, a steel move or other slashing move is what we need. After that, we'll add a poison move for Malekith, Ofnir, and Tree Sentinel. As for the other 2 moves, we've kind of already got everything covered with those 2. Everything's weak to slashing for some reason. We could have a fire move specifically for Radagon. We can either have some of the other damage like normal, fighting, or dark, or we can have some utility moves. These would include stat buff moves like Swords Dance, healing moves such as Recover, or weather type moves like Rain Dance and Sunny Day. Okay, with all that technical nonsense out of the way, here's some actual Pokemon that fit our requirements. First up is Glittercore. It has access to the 3 damage types we're after, and has Swords Dance to boost attack. It has Toxic Orb and the ability Poison Heal, meaning we are poisoned, but we heal from it. Next is Wheezing. Poison with the ability Levitate means we're immune to ground attacks. No super effective damage for us. We'll have Black Sludge to keep us nice and healthy. And for moves, we have the core damage groups, only this time we're pairing Toxic with Venoshock, meaning even more damage. Electros also has Levitate, meaning our one weakness is now an immunity. We'll be running choice specs, so only damaging moves here. We'll have the 3 core damage types, plus an electric move, since we need another attacking move, so it might as well be a same type attack bonus move. Sandslash will be a little different. Instead of a fire move, we have Super Fang. This cuts the target's HP in half. We've also got Sandstorm to combine with our ability, Sand Veil, which helps us avoid attacks. Plus, we'll deal a little bit of chip damage. For items, we have Leftovers to keep us from game overing too early. Finally, and I think this is the strongest option of all, it's Arceus. It has strong access to the 3 damage types we need, and not only that, but it has the move Recover, keeping us in the fight for much longer. To top it off, we'll be using Earthplate to make us ground type, so again, no super effective damage for you bosses. And that's it. In the end, it turned out ground type was the strongest. Are there any Pokemon you think would make good choices? Like this video, subscribe and help a boy out. If people like this one, I'll do other Souls games too. Maybe just other games. Tell me which ones. Let me know. See ya.